All right, so today we're going to dive deep into inspiration. And we've been focused as we prepare for Easter on this idea that I live my best life. And so today we're going to say, I am inspired to live my best life. Together? I am inspired to live my best life. Now let's just say it like we actually mean it. Together? I am inspired to live my best life. So the question that I have for you today, because I think every spiritual thing begins with a question. You know, Socrates taught through the process of questions. Answers are sometimes easy. A good question is hard. Has anybody ever asked you a question that just stopped you in your tracks and you wanted to give them the blow-off answer, but you knew that that was just the blow-off answer, that there was a much deeper answer going on within your soul, and you were almost afraid to say it out loud? Has everybody had that experience? And it just stops you in your tracks with a good question. So today my question is, I hope it's that good, is what inspires you? What deeply, profoundly inspires you? Who are the people and the situations that you look up to that inspire greater possibilities? And what does it take in your life to live an inspired life? Because I believe that an inspired life is when your soul is in constant communication with you. When you're listening to that inner conversation that's going on. You know, the first trip my wife and I ever took before we were married was we went to Yellowstone for a few days to be with our friend Daniel Nahmod, the singer-songwriter Daniel Nahmod. And he was there with his girlfriend who would become his wife, and we were going to meet there. And we wanted to get as far as Jackson, Wyoming before we spent the night. We had a reservation at a hotel, Jackson. So we drove till about dinner time, and there was this cute little hamburger stand, and we pulled off for dinner, and Jill said, okay, I'm going to drive us the rest of the way. And I said, fantastic. And in the family that I grew up with, co-piloting was a responsibility that was taken very seriously. Anybody else raised in a family like that? Because if you were the co-pilot, you were in charge when there were maps, you were in charge of the map. That was the primary responsibility. You were in charge of the drinks, the food, and the radio, and anybody screaming in the back seat. Right? And so it was a big responsibility to be the co-pilot. So when I was turning over from being the pilot to the co-pilot, I did not want to take this responsibility lightly. So we stopped, we got dinner, and we went to the restroom, and then we loaded back up, and I made sure I had my map, and the radio was set, and I was buckled in, ready to go. And the man next to us honked his horn several times and rolled down his window and said, look up. And through the sunroof, I could see that I'd only forgotten one thing: dinner. Dinner was on the roof of our car. And so before we pulled out, I said, I need to get back out, unbuckle, get back out, get the food, bring it back down, buckle myself in, and says, okay, now we're ready to go. But that idea that he said, look up. He said clearly, look up. And it has become a theme in our relationship. That when life gets hard, you have to what? Look up. Because if you're not looking up, what are you doing? You're looking down. If you look down, that's scary. If you look up, you can see the infinite possibilities of God. And as spiritual people, we need to be committed to looking up. Because when we look up, we see the infinite possibilities of God. When we look down, all the scary little gremlins are down there. Reading from John 4:35, do they not say, there are yet 4 months till then comes the harvest? And I tell you, lift up your eyes and see how the fields are already white for harvest. I want you to really hear the spiritual significance in Jesus' message. That many times we say to ourselves, our good is months away, or our good is a process, or I can't get to my good from here, or to get to my good, it's going to take more work or more effort. And in one teaching, in one sentence, Jesus has this profound teaching where he just says, look up. Look up and see that the fields are already white. Your harvest is already there, that God has already provided everything you will need, but you have to look up. That our human mind has this capacity to look up or to look down, and it makes all the difference in the world. Now, when you're looking down and you see all the scary things and all the problems and all the things that could eat you, I took the dogs for a walk. I think it was Tuesday night, and about 10 o'clock, and I swear there was the biggest animal I had ever seen crawl under a bush. And me and the dogs were convinced it was time to go back in. Because if you look down, it can be scary. If you look up, you can see the glory of God. And one of the core values of our ministry is that we are here to inspire one another. We are here to invite one another to look up. And when you're looking down, you can find all the reasons that being scared makes sense. You can look down and see all the things that could go wrong. It looks almost naive when you're looking down that you should never really look up. You should just constantly watch all the things that could go wrong in your life. And yet the moment you begin to look up, you see a path, you see a stairway, you see a possibility that you did not see until you turned your eyes and focused upward. I am inspired to live my best life. Together? I am inspired to live my best life. One more time. I am inspired to live my best life. Oprah Winfrey said the biggest adventure you can have is to live the life of your dreams. See, it is a bit of a job. Like many of us were not raised in families where we were taught to look up. Many of us were almost shamed for being too optimistic or too happy or talking about the possibilities too much when it didn't seem rational or appropriate with all the things that are going on in the world. Carol Burnett said, you have a dream, and you've got to grab it and never let it go. And Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, for everyone else is taken. That in this ministry, we never take it for granted. That our number one job, one of our primary jobs every week is to inspire. That this ministry has made a commitment, and one of our core values is if we're not inspiring you, we are missing the mark. Whether it's a Sunday service, whether it's the incredible music team, whether it's classes and workshops, whether it's community outreach and all the ways that we are making a difference in our community, whether it's special events, these are the things that we do on a regular basis to inspire you. And those of you that missed Fairy Fest yesterday, oh my gosh. Fairy Fest yesterday was fabulous. My ears just got longer the longer I was here. Like it was so much fun. The kids and the adults being together in a magical moment. It was great. Do you know on Wednesday mornings we have a men's call? That it's a brief half-hour call for men to inspire you right in the middle of your week. I mean, that's stunning. If you're not on the call, you should be. Talk to Dave. He'll get you on the call. It's just stunning that we have an opportunity to inspire men. How many men know from time to time on Wednesdays you could use a little inspiration? That's what we do. We're on the call. We inspire. We have a little reading of the daily word. Men talk about what it means to them and how they're inspired by the quote. And that's the focus. And it's fabulous. It's fabulous. Our chaplains have made a commitment that no matter what's going on in your life, they will be here to pray with you and to inspire you with the Word of God. One of the things that inspires me is all of you. That you actually get out of bed, put on your shoes, come to church on Sunday morning, When in this environment, there's 100 other places you could be. But you get up and you come here. And because we create this together, it's impactful and it's meaningful. And it's actually more powerful the more people that are brought into this circle, because the more energy, the more life, the more it is inspiring and transformational. And our volunteers inspire us. That they, week in and week out, do the work of ministry. In so many ways, our volunteers are doing all the work that it takes to do this ministry. And those of you that give generously to this ministry, to support the spiritual work of this ministry, are inspiring. And our teaching is inspiring. That we have a life-changing teaching, that we teach spiritual tools that can transform your life, is inspiring to me. And I hope it's inspiring to you. So what is it? What is it that inspires you? Is it a story? Is it a person? Is it a song? Is it a moment? What inspires you to live a greater life? I can't tell you how many times I heard a story of somebody's overcoming. And I think, if that person can do that, then there's no limit to what I can do in my own life. See, and the real truth is that when we are allowed ourselves to be inspired, inspiration leads to transformation. That in the presence of being inspired, I am willing to be transformed into a greater vision of myself. I am willing to transform my life. I'm willing to transform my family. I'm willing to transform my work. When I am inspired, I am led to transform all those limited, broken places in my life into a higher possibility. And for me, that's so important. That my soul needs regular inspiration, or I start looking down. But every time I get inspired, I start looking back up. That the reason that inspiration leads to transformation, one is it provides new ideas that we've never thought of before. When you hear somebody's story of overcoming and you think, wow, if they can do that, that's an idea that I never thought before, and we can actually apply it to our lives. Two, it gives us courage. It gives us the faith to live a more inspired life. Three, inspiration moves us beyond our drama and our story and our limitations. Four, inspiration connects us to the divine. And five, it awakens us to that which is often dormant within us. Inspiration reminds us that we are created in the image and likeness of God. You know, one of the things that inspires me is my mastermind group. And when I was a young man, before I ever went to seminary, I was very successful. I was in sales. And a friend of mine from the Youth of Unity, from the teenage group that I'd known for 10 years, said, Richard, let's begin a mastermind group. And I had heard about the mastermind process about Jack Boland, who created these 8 steps of the mastermind, and that there was a process loosely based on AA, and that people would come together on a weekly basis for no more than an hour, and they would be in agreement. They'd be in spiritual agreement about each other. Everybody share their desires or their requests, and it was powerful. And so I respected this man a great deal, and I thought, let's do it. Let's give it a try. And something really profound happened because we were together for 1 hour a week. And it wasn't about a lot of drama or stories. It was just about, we would tell what was going on in our life. We would share honestly about the things that we're committed to and wanted to create in our life. And we would stand in faith. And what I began to see is that he didn't believe in my self-doubts at the level that I believed in my self-doubts. Do you have people in your life like that? Who actually see you in a greater way than sometimes you can hold for yourself. And I actually needed his vision of me to move my life forward. Because I was kind of stuck in my own vision of myself and my own vision of my life. And I needed somebody that I loved and trusted and who believed in me to say, Richard, no, there's more in you than that. He was the first person that I said to, I want to apply to become a Unity minister. You know what his response was? I've been waiting for you to say it out loud. Right? It was too much. Like, and you had to work every Sunday, and it's like, I worked retail, and you had to work every Saturday, and it was like, oh, Sundays now. Come on, there's football. Please, give me a break. But it was because of his ability to see me in a greater light that I was able to do more than I thought I could do. I remember sorry, start choking up just remembering it. I remember my first talk. It was bad. God bless that little ministry in Southern California, Laguna Beach, California. And I got in there and they said, I was 25 years old, and they said, yes, would you come and speak to us? And I prepared this talk that I was worried was going to be long, and it was over in 10 minutes. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to seminary, but at the time I was working with the youth. I was the regional coordinator for the teen program, and I thought, I'm just going to be a youth minister. I'm going to work with the kids. They're kind of safe. The adults are scary. I'm just going to do that. And then I went and spoke down in Austin, Texas when I was in seminary. And I shared the story. I'd been working with a group of young men who all had AIDS in the late 80s. And they were all teenagers. And this was in Missouri, and it was unbelievably hard for them because they couldn't tell anybody that they had AIDS. They couldn't even say that word out loud. They were all hemophiliacs, and they'd actually got it from the blood supply. And they couldn't talk about it. They couldn't tell their school. They couldn't tell anybody. And I remember getting to Austin, Texas, and the room was full like this. There was like 500 people. And one of my faculty members the year before had accepted that position, and she'd gone down to Austin, and she said, will you work with our youth? And I said, sure. So the morning she had me work with the youth at the 9 o'clock service, and then she said, I think I'm not feeling well. Will you speak for the 11 o'clock? I said, Reverend Sally, I don't have a talk. And she said, you can do it. I said, there's going to be 500 people in that room. I don't have a talk. And she says, you can do it. So I got up and I did it. And for the first time, I got a standing ovation. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And because of that moment, I was so inspired that I changed the direction, and I thought, maybe I can work with adults. They have a slightly longer attention span. Maybe this is going to work. And all that happened because I had mastermind groups, that my mastermind partner had believed in me. And so I want to talk today about the 8 steps of the mastermind. And I believe that each one of us, if you are called in this direction, will be greatly blessed by having a person that inspires you, that you believe in, that you respect, that you admire, and invite them into a very different kind of relationship. This is not a relationship where you fix one another. This is a relationship where you go through these 8 steps and you believe in one another in such a way that it inspires you to live a bigger life. So you ready? Let's throw the first one up there. Step number 1 is I surrender. And these are, again, loosely based on the 12 steps of AA. Together, I admit that I am powerless to solve my problems and improve my life, and I need help. You know, that was the step that changed everything for me. That every week I had to start with surrender. I had to let go of my human attachment to solving my problems and creating my life, and I had to admit that I had to surrender to God. Step 2. Step 2 is I believe. Let's say it together. I now come to believe that a power greater than myself, the mastermind, God, Spirit, whatever you call it, can change my life. I believe. I believe, and I would hear myself every week say out loud, I believe. That I believed in God. I believed in a power greater than my ego. I believed in a possibility that was greater than I knew before. I believed. And that takes us to 3. And this is where the real work begins. 3, I am ready to be changed. Together, I realize that erroneous self-defeating thinking is the cause of my problems, unhappiness, fears, and failures. and I am ready to change so my life can be transformed. I am ready to change so my life can be transformed. Has your ego ever said to you, oh, you're just perfect just the way you are? All right? You don't have a problem. They have the problem. You're just fabulous just the way you are. Right? Now, there's some level of spiritual truth to that. Right? But when we get to your spirit, your essence is fabulous. Your personality, you know, your personality is just a personality. We all have them. Right? And sometimes they're adorable and sometimes they're a piece of work. But our essence is the image and likeness of God. 4, I decide to be changed. I make a decision to surrender my will and my life to the mastermind, to God, and I ask to be changed at depth. Let's say that together. I ask to be changed at depth. One more time. I ask to be changed at depth. Once you say that out loud, you can't take it back. Once you say that to God, God takes it seriously. Once you announce to the universe that you're willing to be changed at depth, now God's got carte blanche permission to heal you, bless you, transform you, raise you up to heights that you've never been before. I am asking to be changed at depth. Together, I ask to be changed at depth. And that takes us to 5. I forgive. Together, I forgive myself for all my mistakes and shortcomings. I also forgive all other persons who may have harmed me. I forgive everyone for everything. I clear the deck. Let the slate be clean. I'm no longer functioning from the drama and the karma of the past. I am made brand new, and because I am brand new, I forgive everyone for everything, including myself. So we do the first 5 steps just to clear the space, just to open the door and let go of the drama of yesterday. And then we get to 6. I make known my specific request, asking my partner's support in knowing that the mastermind is fulfilling my needs. Make your request now. I request, I commit, I declare, I ask. And there's something powerful when you have the courage to ask in the presence of another human being, to ask clearly and out loud for your greatest desires. Knowing that the person you're asking, sharing that desire with, actually believes in you more than you believe in yourself. I ask. And then we go around and each one of us would ask and the other one would say, Richard, I see you living that. Or I'd say, Tom, I see you living that. I see that desire completely fulfilled. I see it fulfilled in a better way than you've even spoken. I see you more blessed. I see your business prospering. I see your relationship improving every day. And we would make those requests known, and the other one would just support us and say, I hear it, and I believe it for you and with you. And then that takes us to 7. I give thanks. Let's read it together. I give thanks that the mastermind is responding to my needs, and I assume the same feelings I would have if my request had been fulfilled. I take on the feeling now. I actually have the faith to take on the feeling now, knowing that it's God's good joy to give me the kingdom. I take it on now and allow myself to get excited and grateful and passionately alive with the good that is coming to me, and I rejoice and I give thanks. And then the last step, step 8, and it's a long one, so we're going to have to just read it slowly. Actually, there's 2 slides. So let me read it first, and then I'm going to invite you to say it with me the second time. I dedicate my life, and I want you to hear these words. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind is supplying me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a successful and happy life. I dedicate myself to being a maximum service to God and those around me, to live in a manner that sets the highest example for others to follow, and to remain responsive to God's guidance. I go forth with the spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. I am at peace. Let's read that together. Let's do slide. There we go. Ready? Here we go. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind is supplying me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a successful and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to God and those around me, to live in a manner that sets the highest example for others to follow, and to remain responsive to God's guidance. I go forth with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. I am at peace. You've just done your first mastermind group. Well done. Right? Now, I know I've said this, but I want to make sure if you want to go down this path and have somebody in your life, that you are not picking somebody that you want to fix. Right? This is not your charitable work for the week. This is somebody that you admire, that you respect, that you want to take your life up, and you think being in relationship with this person would literally do that. And you meet for 1 hour. The way we did it was roughly the first 20 minutes. We just kind of checked in. How did we go? How are you doing? What's up? And it would like 10 minutes for each of us. If you have more than 2 people, it's like 5 minutes. And it's a 5-minute check-in. And we're not coaching, we're not solving, we're not telling one another what to do. We're just checking in, and then we go through the steps. And then we really, truly have a commitment with each other that you will believe for me and I will believe for you. And then we go out and we live it. And then we come back and we share how it went. And over, because of these 8 steps, I believe that your life will get greater and more blessed than ever before. That you will be inspired to live your best life. I believe that life is a group project. I do. That I need the people around me. And I want to be the kind of guy that the people around me can depend on, that they can trust that I'll be there for them. And that relationship of having my peeps around me. And it doesn't take 1 million. It takes 3 or 4 people that believe in you, that you can share what's going on in your life. And I believe that we will be living our best life. You need people around you who don't believe that your past or your drama or your stories is the sum total of who you are. That your greatness is still within. And it's still available for you to carve out your best life. I am inspired to live my best life. Will you say that with me? I am inspired to live my best life. Let's pray. We are open and receptive to the infinite goodness of God. We are open and receptive to all that God is. We are open and receptive to be inspired, to feed our soul the goodness of God. The stories, the music, the moments that take our breath away, that remind us of the glory of God. So in the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great week. Thanks for being here.